Okay, so we are now recording. I am calling the meeting of the Rauscher Farm Management Subcommittee meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. on June the 11th, 2025. Everyone, roll call your name as we go.
Dean Briggs present.
Yeah,
Christine Latini present.
Okay.
Yeah. Carol present.
Okay.
Alan Pratt present.
Yeah. AP. Gloria Parkinson present.
And Jim Webster present.
Okay. GW present. Okay. And Dan will introduce himself. We'll add him to the minutes when we get there. Hi, everyone. Good to see you in the sunshine. Yay. All right. So first off, minutes of May 14th that have been circulated. I'll entertain a motion and second, and then discussion. Okay.
Motion to accept the minutes.
May 14th.
Hang on. That was an almost instantaneous. All right, we'll let Dean have this one and you can second it, Dave. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, so Dean, what you want to do? Motion to,
Accept the minutes as written.
okay,
Seconded.
right. Write this down. It's written. Okay, everyone. BB, seconded by D. And okay. Comments, corrections, bad spelling, all the rest.
I didn't see anything.
Didn't
either, though I skimmed pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the eagle eyes of Christine and Dave to chime in too.
I'm good, Glow.
Oh, good.
too.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, great. All right. So we have no corrections, et cetera. So all those in favor of accepting by roll call vote the minutes of the May 14th meeting.
Who seconded the motion?
You proposed it and Dave seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. Dave is on the telephone, right? And he has a hard stop at 7, so just before 7, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, about 10 off.
Okay, fine. So everyone, a vote, right? All those in favor? Okay, roll call vote.
Dean, aye.
Christine, I.
Dave,
Alan,
aye.
I.
Dave, aye. Alan, aye. Gloria, aye. Yep. Jim, okay. Approved. Okay, everyone. So, hi, Dan. This is, so Dan, could you, for the record, just state your name and your address and welcome to public comment of the Rauscher Farm Management Subcommittee meeting.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Navaroli. I live at 203 Cherrywood Lane over in Clinton at the Woodlands near Clamshell Pond.
Great. And welcome.
Thank you.
So, you know what happened, obviously. The Rauscher Farm Management Subcommittee people was. Do you want to ask Dan questions, or how do you want to handle this? Do you want Dan to repeat the incident?
Well, I'll just talk. I'll just talk.
You talk.
Okay. So first of all, before I say anything else, I just want to say the actual bite incident did not occur on Rauscher Farm property, which I'm sure is like someone's concern here. No, it was actually more like maybe like 100 yards, going by the map, probably 100 yards away. But the owners of the dog, they tend to access the trails from the Rauscher property. So my primary objective with emailing you their pictures and everything was just to spread awareness, just to help identify these people, because they would not identify themselves to me during the incident. That's all.
Do you know, Dan, did they arrive by car? Do they park there or anything?
I believe they arrived by car because I talked to Hadstat's Auto right next to the property.
Okay,
I messaged them to ask if do you recognize these people, and they said they had seen them drive in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had gone in at the 29 Clamshell entrance, right, the parking area, and then presumably gone along Clamshell Pond Trail, right, heading, as if heading towards DCR property, is that correct?
I don't know the actual path they took when they first got there. They could have gone out towards, gone west towards DCR property and then south around the lake, or they could have just done a single loop clockwise all the way around.
Even you can't get completely round Clamshell Pond because of private property, so who knows? Okay, but go on, Dan. All right, we now, yes, okay. Whether it was on Rauscher Farm or whether it was on DCR, they're connected. They're open spaces that are, they abut each other and they're a contiguous thing. So yeah, so go on, Dan.
Right. So I was out for my daily run, just doing some laps around the pond. Two women had 3 dogs. All of them were off leash. I approached them from behind and I just made a lot of noise to, just not to startle anybody. Like I like to clear my throat very loudly, etc., just so people aren't, shocked when some random animal just appears out of the woods. When it happened, one of their dogs, small, I don't know the breed, it's a small black one. It could be a Chiweenie or a Dachshund mix of some kind. Ran out and, just generally aggressive, how dogs are. And it bit me on the leg, my left shin. At that instant, it did not start bleeding immediately. And it's not like a super huge wound. It's a single puncture. There's no ripping or tearing or anything. But I just continued on my run. And then after I got closer to the Rauscher Farm property, no, not closer. I was actually on the Rauscher Farm property when I did my turnaround. I saw my leg was bleeding, so I just went back in the other direction. And I encountered these women and the dogs again, and the dogs were all off leash again immediately after the incident. So I stopped them. I asked them their names. They wouldn't tell me. I asked them where they live. They wouldn't tell me. I told them dogs need to be leashed at all times on this property, and also most properties, I think.
There is a leash law
there
in
is a-
Clinton.
Yeah,
Yes.
Clinton has a leash law. Yeah.
Clinton
Yeah,
specifically
by
is
law.
like, as long as it's not your own property, I think it needs to be leashed at all times. Yeah, so I took a picture of the dog. I did not think to take a picture of like the dog's tag or anything. I took a picture of the 2 women. One of them wasn't very happy about that. And then one of them tried to take my phone away from me, but that was just a quick little nothing. And then I continued on my run. At that point, my objective was just to finish my run and then go get my wound tended to. I didn't call animal control until a couple hours later, I think. Yeah, but that was basically it. Just a quick, relatively quick incident. My course of antibiotics and my rabies shots are not so quick, but there's it's yeah, it's for the first few days, our primary objective was to identify the dog so we could confirm if it has been vaccinated or not, but we haven't been able to identify any of that yet. So I'm on the full course of, post exposure care, which is
Was it the dog with the cone or the other dog?
the one with the cone. The one with the cone is the actual one that bit me. The other 2 are pretty chill. I mean, they still are off leash, which is, I mean, not supposed to be that way, but
Yeah.
they're.
Yeah.
So a vet might be able to recognize that dog if they went to a local vet.
Yeah, I called basically every animal hospital and veterinary clinic in the
Oh,
area,
okay.
and none of them could help. There were 5 dogs registered in Clinton under the same name, and none of them are this one. I contacted the animal control officers in Sterling, Marlborough, Bolton, Lancaster, Berlin. No one can find these people. So really just I just want to get the pictures out there to you guys to, keep an eye out for these people if anyone happens to recognize them again.
Yeah. Now that's
Now,
having the photograph. Yeah. Sorry, Jim.
Now that it's summer and we're up there more, I didn't recognize them from the pictures, but now that it's summer and we're going to be up there more than over the winter, if I happen to see them, especially if they have a car, I will try to get a picture of their license plate. And, without some way to ID them, but
I
I
would
just didn't happen
guess-
to recognize them, but I mean, again, how often, I mean, they can be there, how
Once
often
and
they
that-
happen to be
yeah,
there at the
that
same
could-
time they are.
I've
Yeah.
encountered them. I've seen them in the trails before. Maybe like I saw them last week because it's been a week now, and I saw them maybe a week before that. I have not seen them
Okay.
or any trace of them since though, because they don't pick up after their dogs either. But I haven't seen any new dog poop in the last week either. So I would guess they haven't been back.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
makes sense because like when someone takes your picture and tells you you're breaking the law or whatever, and your dog has
Yeah.
bit somebody, you would tend to want to avoid the area just in case you run into that person again.
So Dan, if I could ask you, when you told them that dogs should be, you told them that dogs should be leashed, right? Did-
Yes.
Did they try to argue with you at that point? Or, I mean, what happened?
I don't think they tried to argue any particular point.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
You
It was-
said
They
one
just-
tried to take your phone though. You
Yeah, I had
said,
my
huh?
phone. I was like, okay, so take a picture of the dog, take a picture of you, and they were like, don't take our picture. And I took grab my phone, but I didn't get it away from me or anything. Just grabbed it while it was in my hand.
Yeah, the tricky part with all of this is where precisely the incident actually took place.
Yeah.
Because
If you bring up a map, I can show you pretty much
Oh.
exactly where it's not actually on Rauscher Farm property, but I
well,
can show
no,
you.
that's my point. That's my whole point here. We don't have any jurisdiction over the DCR land, which is where you were. And I also don't believe that the Clinton Animal Control Department has any jurisdiction over DCR property. I mean, what we could do, gang, I'm asking us, is we could check in with the animal control, Clinton's Animal Control about it, because Dan did talk to someone there, right? And say to them, what have you done about it? But it may be tricky if it was not technically on Clinton town-owned land, on the state-owned land. I don't know what you think, but we can formally ask as a committee.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Dave?
Sorry,
Yep.
I'm not trying to talk over you. I just want to point out that dogs are not allowed on DCR property. Just so everybody knows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never knew,
There's a sign up. There's a sign up by the courthouse that basically you can walk and that's it.
okay.
No dogs, no animals, no
Oh,
horses,
that
no
made,
nothing. So just so we're aware.
okay, so Dan, Dan, you
And,
need
and
to know,
also,
yep,
also,
Dave.
if somebody was bitten, even if it's on DCR property, if it's still within the boundaries of Clinton, I think it's still subject to the Clinton Animal Control Officer.
Right,
And the Clinton
Right.
Police,
I
because
believe
it's still,
Did
yeah.
you talk to the Clinton police? Daniel?
So Dan explained what the situation was when you went for medical help, that they.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So I went to
reported-
Emerson
yeah.
Urgent Care to get my wound checked out. And they had me fill out a bite report form. I don't know how helpful that's going to be because I don't know the name of the owners or anything, but I filled out what I knew about the dog and then, the location and where everything happened. They were supposed to report that within 24 hours. I'm not sure if they report it to the Clinton Police Department or if they report it directly to the animal control officer. I personally did not follow up with the police department. I only ever talked to the animal control officer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and you called them or you?
I called the animal control officer and I also emailed them the same pictures I emailed you while I
Okay.
was at urgent care still, actually. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So what I'm proposing as a point of discussion for us now is that we follow up with the Clinton Police Department and the animal control officer, right? And see what they have. There's at least to establish that this is a proper procedure that should have been followed. Right? I mean, what do you think, gang? I mean,
I can
Yes,
follow up with the.
absolutely. And
sorry.
I'm just going to suggest that you may want to also engage DCR and just give them a heads up.
Yeah. Yeah, find out who in. Okay.
I can talk to anybody. It's just I don't have any more information other than what these
Right.
people look like and what the name of their dog is.
Right.
That's it.
Right. No, I hear you. The chances of actually tracking them down are not overly hopeful unless they turn up
I
again.
think that the best shot would be if they happen to turn up on Rauscher Farm again and we got their license plate, but I mean,
Agree.
Okay,
And I
but
still
let's
go out
check
visit
in.
most days,
So,
so.
so I'm proposing that the Rauscher Farm. So if we check in with Clinton Animal Control, Clinton PD, and we find who in the DCR. And DCR, okay. You can always talk to Mike Downey, the forestry guy, and say, who do we talk to? Hi, Mike. You know, who should we talk to with this? Okay, so we will officially, yeah, so I think we should have a motion, gang, on our side to the effect that, you know, but, regarding this report of unleashed dogs. We can't say on Rauscher Farm. They must have been there at some point, but of an incident with unleashed dogs.
Did
But we're
you
gonna-
actually encounter them again? Were they ever on Rauscher Farm that you saw them, Daniel?
The last time I saw them when we departed, they were heading towards Rauscher Farm on the trails, and the trail that's along the northern edge of Clamshell Pond.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gloria, you think we should do this on behalf of Rauscher Farm, right? Even though the
Well,
dog bite didn't happen on Rauscher Farm?
It's, I think that what we can do, it didn't happen on Rauscher Farm, so technically it's not in our wheelhouse. But on the other hand, these are unleashed dogs that did appear on Rauscher Farm at some point, even if the incident didn't take place there. And that, so we're involved with an unleashed dog situation, even if the incident, because that is against Rauscher Farm and against Clinton.
Daniel, where were you when you took those pictures that you sent us?
Those pictures are right at the intersection of, the power lines, where the power lines go.
Okay, yeah,
And then
okay.
there's a
So-
trail, and where the power lines intersect the trail that goes across the northern edge of the pond. So
Got it, yeah.
the pictures are taken like 50 yards off Rauscher Farm property, and the bite happened
Yeah.
maybe like 100 yards off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it
know
is
that is,
DCR. It is DCR. So do you want a formal thing here? I'm asking my colleagues here. Because it wasn't technically Rauscher Farm, do we need an official motion, or should we just go ahead and do the sleuthing? And then write it up in the minutes? What's your thoughts?
Are you proposing, Gloria?
Well, I'm proposing that we have a motion to follow up this reported incident of unleashed dogs, technically on DCR property, but also presumably they were using Rauscher Farm property to come back to the car if the Hastad garage saw them. I mean,
yeah, so they were probably parked on Rauscher Farm, but we just don't know that. But I
we
mean,
don't,
again, we know what
how
they
do
look
we-
like. We know what the dogs look like. If we saw the car again, that would be, helpful.
What did the
Uh,
car look like, Daniel? Did you see the car?
I personally did not see the car.
yeah.
How do we know that the car wasn't a visitor or a friend of the two private houses?
We
farther
don't.
down
We
Clamshell?
don't know it. The simple truth is we don't know anything, basically, except Daniel got bit and took photographs. What we don't know is who these people were. We can only if they went past the garage, right? The car was coming in to Rauscher Farm with the dogs in it on Clamshell Pond. Everybody bails out and goes walking. And what we can only assume, but we can't state categorically, that from there, they would have walked down the Clamshell Pond trail and going around into the DCR. And then there's Daniel coming the other way. Well, we don't have to minute this. We don't have to have a motion formally, but I think we will check in with the entities and see if something was reported. But the real, I think, issue might be for us is if people, it's clearly stated on the barn, the leash law. But there's more than one way of entering Rauscher Farm. And as Dave just noted, the DCR has a notice about no dogs on DCR property. Should we follow up in a similar vein at that sort of courthouse entrance to Rauscher Farm, which is probably the second most popular way in, and have a welcome to Rauscher Farm, please note, dogs allowed on leash only. I mean, do a warm, friendly sign somewhere up there. So there's no
And then
reason.
But even then, to come that way, they'd be walking across DCR property with a dog that's not allowed on DCR property, you know, so.
Right,
We can
that's
still
what
put
I
up
was
the
gonna
sign,
add
but
too.
Yeah, okay.
But that doesn't really
Hey, everyone,
affect whether they're on Rauscher Farm property or not.
as a sanity check, I will go up over the next few days, weather permitting, of course.
Yeah.
And I'll snap a picture of that sign. And Gloria, I'll send it to you. I can send it to everybody if everybody wants it. But
Yeah, that would be smashing.
This is a sanity check. Okay.
Okay, that's great. Do that, Dave. We'll continue the conversation at our next meeting with that data, right? In the meantime, I propose that I follow up with Clinton Animal Control, CPD, and see if I can find a contact in the DCR. How about that? Just to see if anything got reported to them formally reported, basically from Dan at Emerson Urgent Care, right?
Right.
Does that seem like a logical place to go? Say, do you have a report of a dog bite? Oh, do we have the exact date, Dan?
June 3rd.
Okay, 6/3. Okay.
And what time was it?
Actually, you know, I'm pretty sure the pictures I took are time-stamped. Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right, may as well have all the information that we have.
Right. But what I'm actually looking for is, you went to urgent care that day, Dan?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what time were you in urgent care?
But the pictures I took were around at 12:09 p.m. So the bite would have been maybe like 5 minutes before that. So a little
Okay.
after 12 p.m., June 3rd.
Okay. And Emerson, you filled in the bite incident at Emerson Urgent Care. And they are meant to pass that on.
Yep.
Okay.
I can check my discharge papers to see the exact time I was there. Hang on one
Okay.
second.
And then, so that means that I can say to Clinton Animal Control CBD and the DCR, do you have any record of this from such and such a time date on, right? The official Emerson Urgent Care report, the bite report.
Yeah. I was there at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Emerson, 1 p.m.
Okay.
From 1 p.m. to 1:48 p.m. looks like.
So I think that's possibly as far as we can go tonight. What do you all think? We find out if there's an official report. Dave, your suggestion's excellent. We can decide whether, we should be putting up some additional welcome to Rauscher Farm sign that includes dogs allowed, leash only, including that information. Does that make sense to the rest of us?
Goes to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to note the fact that these people refuse to identify themselves means that Dan then had to have rabies shots that he otherwise wouldn't have needed if they just confirmed the dog had had shots.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, that's a woman assaulted you essentially. I mean, if you tried to grab that phone away from you,
Right.
that
Yes.
to me is an assault. So
Yeah, I mean that's
I'll certainly keep my eyes out.
it's like technically an assault probably, but I mean wasn't like a major thing for
Yeah.
me. It's just something to note.
I know,
Yeah.
but still.
It's not acceptable. Really not acceptable. Okay, so Dan, does that seem like you're hearing from us what you believe would be the next steps.
Yeah, those all make sense.
Yes?
Yeah.
and
Now,
if we-
regarding signage, just my feeling. I mean, so it's posted up on the barn already. There's like 50 things posted on the barn. Would it make sense to have signage on like a tree, like right at the entrance of the trail, around like a little below eye level, maybe? I mean, there are some people who like they're gonna ignore the rules anyway, but I mean, there are other people who just don't know, and those people maybe they don't read everything that's on the barn when they come to visit Rauscher Farm.
Right. So how about we put that on the agenda for next meeting when we've looked also at what Dave is sharing with us
And
about,
my two
about
cents,
signage. The one thing about signage is the more you put up, the more people ignore it.
and
Right.
from my take, they had the leashes, the incident happened, they put the dogs back on the leashes, and then they were encountered again off leash. So my instinct is to say they know that they should be on leashes unless nobody's looking, was their interpretation. So they were quick to put the dogs back on leash in those pictures. So I think they were aware that they were supposed to be on leash, but they opted not to take them off leash if they thought they were alone.
There's also a point where, signs, and we put up signs to tell people no campfires. We put up signs to tell people to carry out their own trash and things like that. I don't know how many individual signs we can put up that don't just become noise to people.
And that's something that we've heard from other, conservation areas. It's the same as the trash barrels.
Right, yeah.
Which is down for your FYI, we don't put up trash barrels on Rauscher Farm because basically they become, yes, everybody just piles
rule-
up
and the
with
rule
all
is-
their trash all around it,
The rule is carry in, carry out, including your
Right.
own dog poop, even
Yeah,
though we
right.
occasionally find people courteously leaving us little bags by our, porta potty in the barn door and whatever, which is not on either.
But it gets our attention. So we'll revisit signage, Dan. Okay.
Okay.
Are you there?
Dan,
Dan?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. I
Do
mean,
you
we
know-
hear,
I have a
we
question
appreciate,
for-
yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, we appreciate what Dan is suggesting. We're not going to make a decision about signage tonight. Because it is a big topic and quite where does it go? I mean, there's you're hearing, you put individual signs up and in the end, it's like snow. People don't pay any attention. There may be another way of doing it. We don't know. But your point is well taken, Dan. That's what we're saying. We're hearing you. Now, Alan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so Dan, if we should see those people with the dogs in the car and are able to take a photo of the license plate, what next? Would you
I
like
would
to
I would guess
contact-
you would just identify them to either the animal control officer or Clinton PD. I mean, just
Yes.
if for no other reason than to get their names on the bite report that I filed, like for completion's sake.
Makes
Okay.
sense to me.
Which
Yeah.
is why we want to know if there was a report, if there is a written report that these three entities, which is why I'm saying I'll follow up on that, see if there actually exists a written report from Emerson. And also from you, Dan, when you spoke to the animal control people. Okay.
Is it worth considering a generic post to the socials reiterating the leash policy on Rauscher Farm
We can do that. We should.
without necessarily naming these specific
Right.
incident, just as a general reminder? There's been observations of dogs off leash on Rauscher Farm property, and maybe we hold off until Dave can see if the DCR property signs also
Like
say.
we mentioned, and then we can mention
And
that
say,
too.
yeah,
Yes.
on
Yeah.
leash on Rauscher Farm property. However, please note that DCR property does not allow dogs at all in the watershed area, if that's what Dave finds on the signs.
Okay.
And then get it out to the public that way. and just have a reminder, a friendly reminder on the socials.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. Okay, so,
Victoria?
yes, Dave.
If Dan would like, I could also send him that, the pictures. I think it might be helpful for him.
Oh, okay.
A picture of the signage over at the courthouse?
Yes.
Okay, you don't need to do that because when I'm out running, I tend to go over there anyway. I can just look up any signs they happen over there.
All right.
Thank you, though.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Saving us work, Dan. Okay, yes, so we'll reiterate the okay. I think, have we gone as far for tonight? Yep. So we're not done with it, right? But we need to get what we need to do and then be able to have the concerted discussion again, put on next month's agenda. Okay. Is everyone content with that? To move
Yeah.
on?
Yep.
Dan,
Yeah.
Dan, are you content?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, so welcome, Dan. He may stay for the whole meeting, he says. Okay, off we go. Right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thank you for the email that you sent to info@Rauscher Farm. We do need to know these things, and without people telling us, we do not know them and cannot, take action. All right, moving along. Okay, so discussion document, which has some updates. So let's go through our agenda. Let's go start with, as you see, the general note on the discussion document was we do our maintenance stuff underway and broken equipment. I'm up to date on the beetles installation, the pollinator nursery garden, phase 2 underway, story walk also to be installed this month, and other things as they come. Okay, but with that general note, let's go to, adaptive land management, trails and maintenance. Okay, let's hear from you guys on broken equipment, which we know has happened. Okay,
Now, Dave, you are still on to meet Dupuy for pickup tomorrow morning, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
All righty. Yeah, and if you could just remind them when they pick it up, just dead, it doesn't start, but as long as they have it, ask them for an oil change and a sharpening too, as long as they've got it.
Okay.
And when I was there the other day, I gave it another try. The battery is now completely flat from all of us trying to start it. I actually tried to jumper it from the billy goat, and I was able to get it to crank from the billy goat battery with jumper cables, but it still didn't start. So it was just one final try before we, before we go to having it picked up and losing it for a couple of weeks. But right now it's lost anyway because we can't use it.
so it's going to Dupuy, remind me again for a new battery?
We don't know. It just
We
doesn't
don't know.
start. And the issue
Okay.
is it's not the battery because it cranks, but it just doesn't fire, it doesn't turn over. And actually
Okay.
it did a few weeks ago when we were, after Alan and I changed the broken cable.
Yeah.
And then I think Ray joined me later that day and we did start it up and Ray actually started it up and sort of ran it backwards and forwards in the barn a couple of times, but since then it's just kaput, so
Okay.
above our
Okay.
pay grade.
All right. And any more on equipment maintenance?
Everything else looks good. Ray did mention that he thought the battery was failing on the Billy Goat, but that wasn't how, Alan and I were started right up for us, no problem. And as it is, that one
I
also has a,
I used it after that, a few
Yeah.
days after that, when I mowed the lawn, and
Yeah.
it started up fine.
and I charged that battery, a month ago after winter just to make sure it had a good charge on it. And that one also does have a recoil starter, a pull starter. So even if the battery dies, we can at least start it. So not a big deal. If we need to get a battery in the future, we can always get a battery. It doesn't have to go to the shop for that, and we can always run it in the meantime, just with the pull starter.
Okay. So
I did
far
see that.
it's only the brush cutter then.
It's only, well, they're both brush cutters, but the billy goat brush cutter works, the DR brush cutter doesn't. So.
Okay, okay. One of the two brush cutters, right? You can tell I don't push the brush cutter, can't you?
All right.
Okay,
Try-
anything?
It's character building.
It is, yes.
That's for sure.
And does it increase your vocabulary as well at moments?
It sometimes uses my
Good.
entire US Navy vocabulary. but
That's the one. That is-
Increases your intelligence while increasing your vocabulary. No, sometimes when I'm going down hills or up or different things, sometimes the thing will jump and I'll get a handlebar in the chest.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
yeah.
Dean will say, what's that black and blue mark? Is that from
Yeah.
Rauscher Farm? I said, that would be the billy goat.
Yeah.
it's a bit of a
Well,
wrestling match for sure.
Just by the way, on the DR, whenever we get it back, Alan and I have adjusted the brakes on that. Those brakes are really there for steering. And now that they are there, I assume they would work for steering, but we don't know because we can't actually start it now. But those brakes, if it's getting away from you downhill, of course, you can just let go of everything and it'll just stall out. But those brakes could also, help going downhill, but they're basically there for steering. Now that they're adjusted, they should be anyway.
Okay, so if there's no more, I will move us along. Okay, oops, what have I just lost here? Okay. All right, so far one down, right?
Mhm.
I did tell you that we have indeed confirmed that the porta potty has been swapped over for the AD, as Alan
It has
thought it
been. I
had,
can
and it
confirm
had.
that.
Yeah, okay.
I tested it today.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing.
Uh,
Um, okay, so that's that. Trails, I'm going to talk about the past clamshell pond, under its own universal access down on number 7 on the agenda. Okay, so thanks for all the mowing, you guys. Thanks for hacking your way through the grass on the front of the farmhouse because we did the no mow May. The signs have now, of course, been removed to be put out again next year. So that you guys did great. Whoever, I think it was Ray who went in and did it. Was it Ray or Alan?
it was who mowed the lawn, the farmhouse lawn.
Yeah,
With the billy goat.
With the billy goat, right?
yeah. Okay.
Front
And
side.
also, and if any of us have time, depending on right now, more urgent things to do, which we can cover in a couple of minutes, but mowing that again next time with the lawnmower might be nice, assuming the lawnmower starts. It did a while ago, because the billy goat only cuts 4 inches high and the lawnmower is, it's a lawnmower.
It's tighter. Okay. So we're adding farmhouse again to the.
Just Jim, I'm planning to go up tomorrow afternoon, so that's one thing I could do if the trails don't need.
Well, can I just suggest, I don't know if I'm jumping the agenda here, but I was up there today weeding in the pollinator meadow. We have a whole bunch of new plants sitting on our porch right now that have to get in sometime in the next week. So I've been up there twice this week, have weeded most of that meadow. I think I've weeded all of the areas where the new plants have to go in. But top priority, it shouldn't take long, but if you happen to have the time, take that hose out of the barn on the reel and hook it up to that back faucet.
Yeah.
So we have it. And if you get around to it, if not, we can do it with the plants in, run that hose down and fill the barrel, but we can always fill the barrel when we're doing plants.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
when that happens, Alan, can you turn it on and make sure it does actually have water flowing through it?
Yep.
So we know
I'll
that.
do that. I'll do that first when I get there.
Okay, that would be smashing. That would be
And also
smashing.
just FYI, so everybody knows, I was up there weeding the other day. I was up there weeding again today. So I've weeded pretty much all of that pollinator meadow, the fenced area. There are piles of stuff in there, but they're out of the way. They're not in places we're going to be planting plants right away. But even if it's the day we come to plant plants, I can load that up in our power barrow and take them off and dump them at the edge of the woods. And there is some more weeding to be done up around this side that we come in from, but it's not. I've weeded all around the existing plants. I've weeded around where we're going to plant new plants. And mostly what still needs to be done is up around that gate side where you have those, what's that called? The burkett, those large, ugly, huge leaf plants with the long, those,
They're not
what are
right.
those called?
you got long taproot like a carrot on them.
Yeah,
I did manage to pull out the ones that were right in the middle of the gate today using the large weed puller. Not, I try to use the small one. Don't do that. You need the big one because the jaw doesn't open up wide enough on the small one. And you need to dig down a few inches so you can try to grab as close down as you can to the bottom, and then very, very gently rock it back. And with luck, you can pull out that whole taproot. But if not,
burdock is what
burdock, that's what
stuff's
it is.
called,
Yeah,
burdock,
yeah.
Yeah. So if we can, and over the summer, the sooner the better, but if you can get that stuff away that's growing, literally growing right along the fence from the outside, that'd be good too. All the other stuff that's around that area, we can just mow over. It doesn't really matter. It's just the stuff that's basically trying to get into that garden.
Okay.
Okay, but that would be great. Thanks, Al, for that. Okay. So, okay, Mo too. Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna keep going. All right, so I do want to just check in with you. Is it time for a pickup from the town? We've talked about this, the rusty fence, and is that pile big? Is there anything else that we need to wait and add to it or be able
A
to?
small pile outside the barn still, I believe Dave actually knows more than we do, because I think Dave cleaned up the nails around there and stuff, but
Yeah,
it's not huge. And we're not taking down any more fence in the foreseeable future unless we do some in the fall. So I'm not sure it's worth a pickup for that small amount, but it would be nice to get rid of it, but it's not a huge pile. And
we'd
it's
have
not,
to, yeah.
and it's not and it's downhill from where people park, so.
So what's your
I think,
preference?
I think we just leave it and then look at it before winter, because you might want to add to it then if we take down more fence or drag stuff out of the woods or whatever.
Because Ray was talking about moving some of the some fencing.
If you want,
So
but if Ray does, good for him. That would be a
yeah,
good thing if he
okay.
wants
So
to.
okay, so we'll hold off
Yeah.
on the assumption that more will come. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No to that. Okay. Um. Okay. The climate resiliency stuff. Okay. So I'm still trying to connect with Dave Cowell for the wetlands review, and we did have a tentative date of June 7th, but he was going to have to check, with his wife and childcare and things. So I did say, well, let me know, and then he didn't get back, but then it poured all day, right? But Dave has also offered the possibility of doing it in an evening, when the nights are longer. So I'm going to, rather than trying to do it at a weekend, sorry, excuse me, because that does seem to put, that's a lot of pressure on him and his family and scheduling all of that. So I'm going to try and see if I can persuade him to do a couple of evenings with me. And depending on what time he gets out of work, because I also know the Conservation Commission that he's on, they will also do site visits in the evenings, right, after work. So I'm going to see if that is more acceptable to Dave. Okay, so that's just an FYI that, I'm still trying to, he wants to do it, he's willing to do it. It's just the scheduling, okay? So I'm going to try for the evenings. Any thoughts, observations? No, on that one, or just move on? Move on? Okay, so that's wetlands, okay. Now, I just sent you, after I got it today, after my second request to Ry Patton, the final draft of the forest stewardship plan. However, it is what he couldn't get the signatures. So there will apparently, you'll see in that email, there is a hard copy that will come back to the town that will contain the signatures. At that point, we have to find that hard copy, right, before it sinks beneath the waves of a town office. So I'm thinking that I will check in with send an email to Mike Downey on our behalf and saying, I know it's been submitted, need to make sure that the hard copy, when sent back to us, needs to say, Rauscher Farm Management Subcommittee, care of the Conservation Commission. Otherwise, it will be hard to find it. Okay, all right. But that is the verbiage is the final draft. Okay. So we have that. So that's where we are on that. Okay. So on the habitat, the grasslands, we've already had that for some time. Shall I move on? Okay. And when I hear no, okay. So that's that. Yes, Dave.
I'm gonna jump off.
Okay. Well, we still have a quorum, so we're fine, love. So thank you. We understand that you have this time constraint at the moment. So,
Hey, Dave.
so night, take care, drive safely.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thanks, Dave. All right. So the rest of us will gallop along, right? All right. So the electricity we've not followed that up yet. I mean, there's just been too many things going on. So I still have to contact National Grid and try and get Brian Farragut to also work on that. He knows about it. It's just been a lot going on. We're tabling the farmhouse historical research for now. Jim has basically filled us in on the pollinator meadow nursery garden situation. Does anyone have any questions on that following what Jim just shared about the plants and the weeding and the watering?
I was muted. The other thing is we do have to plant those plants presumably someday next week.
Yeah.
And it kind of depends on, obviously, your and my availability and the weather, which we can't control. But I'm just saying, we want to do that. If anybody would like to join us, we could send out a message, and it'd be nice to have a little bit of extra help. But it's not an enormous job now that most of the weeding is done. But the more the merrier. But
Okay.
get those plants in the ground.
I can do that, yeah. And if I can be there, I will.
Right.
Also, I need to pick
Same
up.
here. Yeah.
I need to pick up some more wood stakes to stake out the new side that we didn't plant last year. And Dean redid the map, so we're spacing those plots closer together than we did on the side we did last year. And of all the plants that are sitting on the porch, I can't remember which it is. There's one there that's not on the map. I can't remember what it is, but I ordered those with the intent of filling in some of the areas on the side we planted last year where those plots are a full meter apart. And we could just plant stuff in some of that space, just so we don't waste so much space. We have more stuff growing in the space that we have.
Jim, I think you were the last one in there. Are you basically happy with the overwintering of the plants? Does
It's
it look
better than
pretty
I
good?
thought. It looked pretty. I think Gloria and I were both kind of disappointed when we first looked at it, but those are the last few days with the rain, everything has popped up. We know we lost our blueberry bush last year, but the new plants, we've got 3 low bush blueberries instead of that one high bush. And hopefully those will provide more shade and ground cover to help them survive, even if we have another hot summer like last summer. And actually what was it? Oh, I can't keep track. What are those tall, skinny ones that almost died? That the goldenrod was
No, that was the milkweed.
the milkweed, yes. The milkweed, it looks kind of anemic. There's a couple of large dead stalks in each of them, but each one still has a living stalk. So cross our fingers, those should bounce back. And I can't think the monkey paw, we planted 9. It looks like 5 survived. And I've got 9 more because we had a second plot to go in this year anyway. So a couple of those can go down where we planted last year, and we need to spread them out further than we did last year anyway. So those, we lost a couple. And the only other thing we lost was I'm trying to think the names of all these things, that little ground cover plant, whatever it was. There were 9 of
Yeah,
them,
I
and it looks
know,
like
I
5 or
know.
6 survived. And we had to, and those we had to space out anyway because they grew in, they were too crowded. So we lost maybe 3 or 4 of them, but we still have enough. And as we space them out, we're fine. If we need to get more next year, but I think they're going to fill in on their own just fine. And I also have to say, our hairy beard tongue, the bumblebees are having an absolute feast. That's one of the early ones out, and it's one of those like deep cup things. There
Yeah,
were bumblebees all over it. I
A
took a
long
video
tongue bees,
today.
huh?
yeah.
I haven't yet had a chance to look up the bees on the official list. They have like a big black behind and like a big yellow dot on their back. So I don't know which of our bumblebees they are. I hope it's one of the ones that especially needs, our plants, but the bumblebees are having a good time on those right now.
Well,
The other
Rob
thing,
likes videos.
sorry, Dean, sorry. Go, Dean.
I was just gonna say on that point, Rob likes videos. So that's a good way to identify the bees.
I took
True,
videos, in part because they
true.
move so fast anyway. In the videos, I can always take a still out of the video.
Hmm. I just wanted to refer back to Alan's point about, about losing some over the winter. That's some of my family gardeners, when I was talking about this to some of my cousins in the UK. Oh, well, you should put blankets and things over them during the winter. That's what you should do. So I actually did talk to the Bagley Pond owner slash horticulturalist and explain the situation that, this is when we went to pick them up, that we had lost some plants and would it make, and because of the area that they're planted in is open, it's a big meadow space, and this plant, the actual location is within that, so there's no real protection. It's not like a bordering a nice warm house or anything like that. Would it make any sense to blank? He said, nope. I said, you mean just let them take their chances? Yep, he said, just let them take their chances. So I was relieved that we hadn't, condemned these plants to the equivalent of trying to survive in Siberia. But they do what they do.
I think
And
as we fill in with greater density all around them, I think that's
right,
going to help
that's
too.
right.
So.
But that's also what the people who did the winter sow said. You have to keep sowing and sowing because you're going to lose, you will lose them. You'll lose some sort of percentage. So as Jim said, it's not as when I first looked at them and came back, thinking, oh my God, everything's dead. I was the first one to check them and went, but it's not that bad. It's okay. It's within the reasons of, nature's loss.
Yeah.
I have some nice looking plants from that winter sow activity at the library. I want
You
to put
did.
them in. I do, yeah.
Yeah, well, while
We-
we're on that, I'm thinking about maybe we should do that again because you guys got plans, but me and Jim, who were, documenting the whole process, we didn't have time to do it, so we didn't get any for Rauscher Farm. And if we're going to have to need to keep, adding in, that is a very economical way of doing it. The one thing that, Jim was very careful about, all the little containers, Alan, that had all the different seeds that they bought. When Jim checked all of the seeds that they bought against our list, so that we had not maybe precisely, the same version of the plant or a
Yeah,
slightly,
right.
right.
Yeah.
So
I
so
think I have,
everything,
yeah.
yeah. So go on, Alan. Yeah.
I think I have 4 different types. That's what I did at the library, and 3 of them have 3 of them are pretty much flourishing. One of them I'm not sure about. One of the ones that's flourishing is the hairy beard tongue, which we already have.
Oh gosh, yes. In profusion.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I
There's
might
also
just maybe stick them out in the meadow, just stick them
Yeah.
any place out
Yeah.
there.
Because we have permission.
the more the
We
merrier.
have
Yep.
permission to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But while I have everyone's attention to thought, I was thinking that maybe next we could explore, and we should think about it now, asking Rob to do a presentation in the library. We could pay him out of the enormous $5,000 budget that we get for Rauscher Farm, right? But we could take maybe $300.
Might be a good
Uh,
idea to invite the people from the school as well, the STEM
Well,
people.
that's what I think. But if we're going to do that, what's tricky is Rob would do it on a Saturday, right?
No, maybe they would come.
We'd make sure we didn't do it during the school break because a lot of students disappear, right? I mean, their parents take them away, you know. That's
Sure.
something that, you know, we've learned over time. So the start of spring break and the end of spring break. So getting the dates right would be something. So if you think that's a good idea, I'm going to approach, if you like that and will authorize me, I can approach Rob now because he's all gung ho about the school project if that happens, right? And so ask him if he would come out to Clinton and do in the library one of his presentations, you know, where he shows all his stuff. I know he likes to come out, you know, in the field, but it's such high risk for us to do a field event. You know, it's very, very hard now because of the climate being so unpredictable, as we've seen. And May has basically, I'm thinking we should never actually do a date in May anymore because we haven't had a good weekend. So anyway,
Of course, and if we had electricity in the barn, we could always just move an event inside with folding chairs, but we don't have
Someday.
electricity in the barn, right?
So before we move off this topic, I just want to mention to Daniel, since he's temporarily our hostage, that what we're talking about here, if you're not familiar with this, is we're trying to preserve native bees that are endangered, that are valued pollinators, that evolved with native plants at the same time. And the way these species are distinguished is some bumblebee, and these are bumblebees. Honeybees are not native, they're European, but the native bees are all of bumblebees. And they're distinguished in either by having long tongues or short tongues, and the long-tongued bees are especially endangered. The short-tongued bees are not. And so what we're trying to do is plant, and they're vegetarians, so we're trying to plant plants that provide nectar and pollen for the entire feeding season from approximately April through October, so we can build up this population. We've actually seen endangered bees on the Rauscher farm property. And so we're trying to support them by planting all these different plants that flower at different times during the growing season so that they have a continuous food supply. That's what this is all about.
and as well as the bees, Rob Gaugier, he's an associate professor at UMass Dartmouth, Dan. He is the bee man. Well, he's more than the bee man. He's also endangered. I mean, there's a whole slew of insect, butterflies, etc., etc., etc. He has a laboratory there and everything. So that's what we're talking about. And he's been working with Rauscher Farm. We first had him up in 2019, and then COVID hit. But the pollen, we're planning a meadow, but right now what we've created over the last 2 years with lots of sweat equity of volunteers is carving out a pollinator meadow nursery garden. In other words, that's a protected area, so we're not just feeding the gophers, right? So we're trying to get this thing going and then allowing the whole thing over time to self-seed. So that's, you know, it's you know,
Is that the
some
big
of us
open
may
area on the south? No, not south side.
it's
side.
behind the farmhouse.
It's a fenced area down the hill from the farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
Like a
Oh,
little
okay.
garden down there.
Okay. Okay.
So the
Not
next time
looking
you
fancy.
run behind the farmhouse, right? And
Check
as you're
yourself for ticks after.
and as you're running on the left, you will see the fenced area before you hit the very large grassland.
There's a rain barrel. You'll see a rain barrel right in the middle
Yeah.
of the.
You can't miss it, Dan. You can't.
And we're
really can't.
introducing plants. We're not introducing all the plants at one time. We started last year and we're introducing more this year, partly as a risk mitigation strategy because we're getting these from specialty gardens because a lot of the plants that you would buy in a garden shop have been raised to be flowery and showy, and they don't necessarily produce the pollen and nectar that the bees need. So we go to specialty garden shops that grow what are called nativars as opposed to cultivars. And so these are native plants that have been brought along. They're not always the prettiest, but they're really like I said, they evolved with the bees, and they and the bees are purpose built for each other. And
Right.
so we'll be filling this in over a period of time. So if you get down there, it doesn't look like we've filled the whole thing up because we haven't, but that's part of the plan.
And the other thing is that buying from only recognized nursery gardens like Bagley Pond up in New Hampshire, which has been given Rob Gagier's blessing, is the other thing that happens with other nurseries is they will use chemicals. And so what we're getting is pure plants that have not been exposed to chemicals when they were seeds and all of that. So, you know,
We're getting what a lot of people would consider weeds, and the good thing about them is they're actually tough. They actually want
yeah,
to live out
they're
out in the
very,
open on their own.
but when we buy them, they're expensive weeds, which is why
They
the
are
winter's,
expensive
which
weeds,
is
yes.
to come back. So we'll try and get Rob out here, right? Okay. Yeah, and that means I need to check those school vacation days because that's where I've come unstuck before when we schedule something. The other thing is, what do you think about the winter sow? Is it worth trying to get?
We had a pretty good turnout,
Oh, we
right?
filled it. That was a full
Yeah, it was
registration.
full out, yeah.
You know, because you can only, for these hands-on projects in the current library, you can only do 18 or so people. And we've, you know, had a full registration. Same for
And
the
I'm thinking,
photography.
like I said, Gloria and I didn't get to actually do it because we were taking pictures and organizing and hauling in bags of dirt and all that kind of stuff. But if we
Sorry,
all
that's what
actually
we
were to
do.
grow stuff, we'd end up with more plants than we could probably fit in our meadow. But as Alan suggested, we got 60 acres out there. We can just dig in
Keep
and plant the
going.
stuff
We can put them
elsewhere,
where we
right?
like,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because if you recall, the very first time that Rob came up and did a site visit on Rauscher Farm, you know, when we were walking around and he suddenly left, and it was the Allegheny monkey plant,
Yeah.
right down by, I think, you know,
Along that side of the toward the rail
wetland
trail
area,
side of
right?
the pasture of the
Yeah.
grassland.
Because he, you know, he had his net and he was skipping through and thinking, oh, well, I won't see anything. And the next minute he's, you know, on his hands and knees and in ecstasy. I mean, this is what, you know, really excites Rob, right? So we did have in the seed, we do have some of these in, you know, on Raja Farm in the seed beds already, if we could just beat back the loosestrife. But I have good news to report on that in a minute. Okay, shall we move on, gang? Okay.
One more item with the pollinator garden. Just wondering how those signs held up that were on the fence over the
They look
winter.
very good.
Signs are still good. We
Okay.
need to update the plot plan, because we've changed the plot plan because we're moved some plots closer together in the new section that we're planting and added, I think, a couple of plants. I can't tell you exactly what they are, but TBD probably after we actually plant what we have right now, because it might change a bit later. So that will need to be updated at some point.
Okay.
But the signs look good otherwise.
But I'm jumping out of order. But Christine, you know the very big signs on the barn, and this is, you know, what we're saying to Dan. You know, there's lots of stuff there. Those very big signs with everything on, they're beginning to look a little bit worse for wear.
But they've been designed to flip over, right?
No, not the very big ones.
Oh, the
The
really
metal
big ones.
ones.
No. Okay.
The
Yeah.
very, you know, welcome to Rauscher Farm. Blah, you can do blah 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 blah. Dogs on leash. Blah 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 blah.
Oh, the two on the left?
Yes, I'm going to take a
Is
photograph of them.
is the map holding up okay?
The map's okay.
Okay.
But,
All
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
but those we now haven't done. We didn't. They go way back, don't they?
They're the originals. Yeah.
Right. So what we might need to do is get a quote on them and find if we can, and this, you know, our enormous budget of 5,000, because the one thing we have to, I'm jumping around for the budget for next year is, do we do beetles again or not? Is there another, this will be the fourth. Anyway, I'll get to the beetles in a minute. Okay. All right. Moving on. Yes. From nursery garden, lots of good stuff. Okay. Okay. Invasive species. Yes. Here we go. Beetles. All right. So that was, you know, reported in the discussion document. I was notified that they were going to arrive a week later because the beetles were not, you know, hadn't grown up in time. So they actually basically arrived the week after the Labor Day weekend. They wintered, you know, and as I say, they had their fabulous sleepover, you know, 1,200 beetles in 90 Haskell Ave. Right. New ice pack and cool environment. That was all to their pleasure. then up, Jim and I went, met Alan up there, and we put them on plants. The good news is there was much more evidence of defoliation, right? Which means that there was some wintering over and emerging beetles before we got to the end of May. Or it's possible that they flew in from neighboring sites, but I think it's much more likely everything we've read and
Yeah.
what we know. I mean, the goal is to have some of those eggs winter over and then open up, because
And we might, just for a couple of minutes, explain for Dan's benefit what this is all about, the beetles and the loosestrife.
Dan, are we overwhelming you with information? We should ask you that.
No, actually, I think I already know about this one. This is about those purple plants that are invasive, right? You
Yes,
mentioned
yes, the
beetles specifically
purple.
because they eat those ones. Yeah, I
Ah.
actually already knew this.
Oh, good. Okay. So Dan knows all about the terrible purple loosestrife. And this is year 4 of our tiny, wonderful little friends that that will defoliate. They will never
Very
get
expensive
rid of
little
it.
beetles.
They're very expensive little beetles. They're like $2,000 down. And there's only one vendor.
$2,000 each.
What?
$2,000
Not each, no.
for a batch.
Yes. And there's only one vendor. Okay. Which Dean has passed close by on one of his travels, but never quite visited. Right. The whole thing here is, Dan, you can't expect to get rid of purple loosestrife. What you're looking for is a balance whereby it doesn't take over everything, and it is managed by the beetles controlling that growth. But there needs to be sufficient leaves for the beetles, otherwise they will abandon Rauscher Farm and go elsewhere. At the very, very beginning in 208, when the town brought up around 210 as well, there was a project in Massachusetts. We had a few loosestrife. We joined into it. We got rid of all the loosestrife. And guess what? That was the end of the beetles too, because there was nothing for them to eat. Okay. These beetles are known as holiday beetles because their life cycle goes from, you put them in around, the adults on around Memorial Day, they hopefully then follow their biological imperative and lay eggs. Those eggs hatch by July the 4th, around that time. Then those eggs, now adults, all do their biological imperative, right? And then lay eggs, and then there's another batch, just right into, September, into Labor Day, which then we're looking for them to have eggs that winter over. And that's, I believe, what we're now seeing. Okay. So, we did put the nets on because honestly, what happened last year was pretty scary. It got very, remember how hot it got immediately after? And we went down, and Jim and I gently removed the nets because we thought the nets being being nylon and everything, we were actually creating the greenhouse effect, and we were about to fry these very expensive beetles. So we removed the nets. I think that was the right choice because, again, let nature take its course here. We tried it, and I don't know if it was effective, but it was a panic attack to get the nets off in case we'd just ruined almost $2,000 worth of beetles. Rather, barbecued them, whatever. So that's what happened. So it looks like, and if you will recall, the professor at Cornell who sent us the chapter of his recent book about all of this, he said the timeline is you don't really see any significant difference until year 6 or 7.
Oh.
So, but he felt that, once you've got them there, you were fine and the beetles were going to repopulate. I would suggest we reach out because we've done 4 years. Should we stop? Should we skip a year? Or, it's hard to know. Do we skip a year and the whole thing again? Right?
I'd be concerned about that happening, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be worth looking throughout this summer and into the fall just to see if we see lots of the beetles that or their offspring on the plants through
Yeah.
the summer.
Okay, that's a good
I'll,
idea.
I'll try to remember to take a look every now and then myself.
Yes. Okay, so everybody go beetle hunting.
Whenever we're mowing trails down that end of the field, we should
You
just,
can-
take a walk in and check.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of that location where the loosestrife is, right, and which isn't in the forest, which I had mentioned when I'm juggling backwards and forwards a bit here. When Rye Patton first arrived, and we walked him around Rauscher Farm way back September, right, if you recall. And one of the things that we had said to him was that we are short of shrub-like vegetation. And there are specific, thank you to David Ammerman, we know there are birds that really only will nest on what's officially shrub-like. Now they're not going to go, okay. And we didn't have, so when Rye Patton came down to that loose strife area, and I said, what are these trees? I mean, what? And he said they are alder and they are classed as shrubs, right? So that whole row of alder behind the loosestrife, yeah, that sort of bisects that area.
It wasn't there a few years ago. It's all filled in on its
It's
own.
filling in, right? But apparently that is a good thing. That gives us the different type of tree or nesting potential. Okay. Now, think that now as you are walking down, right, towards the loose strife, and you're walking down with the wetland, on your left, you will now see there's now alders, right, on both sides of that trail. They're self-seeded. And when I looked was taking photographs and things the other day down there, looking at checking, doing my what is this look for see. Um, all that loosestrife growth that was there last year, I couldn't find it. Now it may be there buried in but I'm now, when everyone goes down there, look, do you see a mass of loosestrife still growing where we now have alders? Or have the alders actually pushed out?
But I think probably what's happening is because we had the loosestrife there, we've instructed our fall mower not to mow that area because we don't want to mow the loosestrife and spread it. Therefore, because we're not, that area always used to be completely mowed every
Right,
year.
right,
Now it
right.
hasn't been for a few years because of the loosestrife. And I think because of that, the alders are moving in too. So not quite sure what to make of that because um, it'd be nice. We don't want to mow over the loosestrife because that just spreads it.
Right.
So doing that seems to also encourage the alders. Nothing wrong with having the alders. And maybe for years we were trying to keep that field open as potential bobolink habitat, and for a couple of years we've had an occasional bobolink nest. But I think we might want to just consider, given that we got one end of that field is now filling in with alders anyway, and has become a permanent wetland beyond that. We might just want to say if we get lucky and have a bobolink or two, that'd be a good thing, but we probably don't want to plan our whole
Right. Well,
ecology around bobolinks. So,
yeah, and what we're describing is that whole wet area. That's the whole thing I want David Cowell. Remember, he's a senior,
right.
he's a senior wetland scientist. I want him to put his science, that qualification when he's looking at those wetland areas to advise on how we do in fact manage that whole section.
So you should ask him then specifically about that area
Right.
that we haven't mowed for a few years
Yeah.
because of the loosestrife that now seems to be growing alders. Does he think that's something we should just persist for the
Let it
sake of the
happen.
alders and the
Right.
shrubland or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Because that whole area is the whole of that grassland is getting wetter and wetter. It always has that water that, goes down through the middle sort of thing. But it is definitely getting wetter. So okay, so that's why I want Dave Cowell out there, because if it is segueing into some type of wetland, then we are looking at how we manage it differently.
We still have that whole top section, that 4, 5, 6 acres
Yeah.
that's uphill, that is pretty dry except for the place where the stream
Right.
runs through it. And I don't think and the edges of that edge of that down where our trail is goes, that is sort of a marshy wetland. But the hilltop itself is probably never going to be just
Right.
because of the elevation. So that
Yeah, I know, I
I think
agree,
we want to
right,
maintain as a meadow, but those borderline areas, yeah, I mean, because of the loosestrife, which is also a wetland plant, and because we don't want to mow the loosestrife and spread it, now we seem to be getting alders, so discuss. I mean, intelligent,
yeah.
minds want to know, so that might be a good David Cowell type of question.
Yeah, that whole, well, it's almost when you get, where I call it the island, but it's actually where, because Ray cleared it out of invasives, right?
Yeah.
Of bittersweet and things. But that's stones that were cleared.
But
Right.
there's also a semi-permanent stream that runs behind that
Right.
partially dries
Right.
out in the summer, but never completely goes away.
Okay, which is why David Cowell's key to this.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I have to
Oh.
jump off in about half an hour.
Okay, all right, we're going to move fast then. All right. Well, actually, the next one that is, so we've done all of that. Okay, so we will find, I'm going to contact Professor, whatever his name was again. At Cornell. Okay. Okay. Past the clamshell pond. Okay. What I am proposing we do is we know there's insufficient funds, right? So we've talked about this the last several meetings. And there's insufficient funds to start the whole project. We decided to break it into 3 sections. Conservation Commission agrees, all the rest of it, and trying to work out how much more money we need. Well, I am proposing, I have had a conversation with a builder too. I've explained the whole thing. The builder does not wish for his name to go on record at the moment, but he is a builder who really knows about the costs of stuff and he also knows about town politics. So what he has recommended is to go for 100K, not 60, go for 100, because everything is going to go up, and we have to do prevailing wage. And we could also fold in some more ADA stuff. We could get the picnic tables, we could possibly get some other ADA adaptive things tied in with the whole project. And what the advice I was being given was don't under ask, because if you under ask and get that, you can't go back and get more, right? So if we recommend to the Conservation Commission at its meeting in a couple of weeks that our recommendation is the ask that goes up to 100, because we still sort of don't know what it is. Because even if the 3 quotes to manage the property still stay high at 37K or more, right? We're going to need all of that because that's a big chunk of change out of the 144K that's available. So what I'm asking is if you would agree with a recommendation to go to the Conservation Commission now and say that we recommend we should find 100,000, and that initially there would be an article on the warrant for that would then go to June 2026 town meeting, right? If that is so, that whole thing has to start as soon as the budget cycle discussions start within the town, which is the beginning of March. And what we did last time was we asked the Conservation Commission, this is before we knew whether there was money already in the town. We asked the Conservation Commission if they were willing to put their name to an article on the warrant, and obviously they said yes, because they are responsible for the management of Rauscher Farm. In the end, that article, that 144K article, that went on in the name of the town, right? The town wanting money for the town's property. I would hope that would happen again for the 100K, no guarantee. But I'm suggesting that if this meets your approval, this is what the report for the next Conservation Commission proposes, basically, we've all agreed to how this should be. Well, now we're trying to work out how to fund that agreement. And to go from, I was thinking maybe 60K, but I don't know what we're talking about. So we go for 100K, and we can document as we get nearer the time, we'll be able to document that expenditure, that additional expenditure. So your thoughts to go for 100K and work out how to get it.
That all sounds good to me. It would just keep in mind that during some of the select board and FinCom meetings leading up to this town meeting, there was some discussion that they might be starting those budget conversations sooner. Like they wanted more time. So we just have to budget that into our planning to be able to make that case for the 100K. I would say, I don't know when they're going to ask for those conversations to begin, but it might be as early as January instead of March.
We do keep an eye on this, but thank you. It's a very good point. We do keep an eye on this, and how I know what's going on is the library. That's how I know. And then I go, I'm always checking with the town accountant because, he posts those meetings, although they come from the chair of the FinCom, Erin. Yes, but it's a very good point. This thing there's also the possibility of a special town meeting, because for those of you who attended the town meeting just gone, there was matters on that agenda that could not be resolved at that time because they were about contract negotiations with the fire department, and I think the police too. Anyway, so it was stated that there could be a special town meeting earlier than next June once those contract negotiations with those unions had been resolved. I'm slightly, my feeling is it'd be nice to get something earlier, but I'm not sure that everything would be in place if they suddenly said, having a September special town meeting. I think we need more time.
My point was just in light of when the discussions about budgets would be happening
Right.
and the warrant would happen, where they might be happening in March now, there was some conversation that it would be beneficial to start those conversations earlier in the calendar year to give the select board and FinCom more time to review
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
So our submission deadline for review might not be March, it might be earlier.
yeah. No, that's it. That's very good advice. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. So I would say then we basically have to be ready in January then, based on that, right? Is that what you're saying, Christine? Basically have the plan formulated and the justification, documented, even though we may not be able to fully document it, but we'll have the arguments
Yes.
documented, which is again, everyone, your thoughts? Yeah, be ready, to turn on a dime, ready to go at January, which again means that going to the Conservation Commission now in June, saying, we'll do this, but we will need to be able to have to pass that through them before January, basically by year end, right? If we work backwards from that.
Yes.
No later than December for the Conservation Commission. Ready should we suddenly have to go in January for the budget cycles. Yeah, everyone, makes sense? Happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move on because the only other big piece of information. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, here's the Clinton High School. Okay, the discussion document filled you in on the meeting that happened after our last meeting, right? Happened on May 19th. So right now, that was on site. It was the head of the science department, Sam Rhodes, a science teacher, Jake Wilhoit, myself, actually at the location that Brian Farragher was okay with, right? they are both enthusiastic. I mean, there's logistics, many a slip between cup and lip, as they say. So they are definitely enthused about it. Did confirm the water supply, which is in that sports field maintenance building, the brick building that's just across the road by the playing fields. Yeah, that has water. And Sam Rose immediately began brainstorming how, there could be a barrel on, wheels, and it could be big. So he was off and running. Okay, so what happens now is he has to, as the head of the science department, he has to work out the logistics and, how it fits into the curriculum and all of that sort of stuff. Okay. As I said in the discussion document, he does intend to talk to Brian Farragher about it too. And I also have given Brian a heads up that the project is at the moment still, active, and that Sam Rhodes will get in touch with Brian. Brian assured me he'll be ready, he said, when the conversation crops up. Okay. So there we go. Then we've moved to the next phase, right? And we know Rob is hot to trot, so we just wait, basically, now, and see what comes back from Sam Rhodes about the logistics of how it would fit into the school thing. But so far, there's no negatives other than making it work, which is obviously a big challenge for them. And like we discussed, thank you for all your. Yeah, I did talk about the robotics model, that apparently is a greenhouse still, but it's inside the school at the moment. It's actually inside the building. And the head of science actually is very much into this. The school have had a intern program with the forestry company. Our friend, what's his name? Who took down the Rauscher farm tree, but nothing. And
Yeah,
Favreau.
what?
Favreau.
Favreau, right?
yeah,
Favreau, yes,
right, yeah.
right. Favreau, and just taking down trees all over town, including ours.
Taking down trees on our property, but he did compost that big tree on Rauscher Farm at no charge.
He did, right.
Sizable.
But so this is, the Clinton High School have had this program whereby students were interning with Favreau and getting credit for it, and then going off to, continue their post high school graduation to, college and all that. So it has been, they like the program. It's, again, and it was Sam Rhodes who actually introduced the horticultural program that is now running. It took him a couple of years, he said, to get it into the curriculum with the then high school principal. And the current high school principal it likes the program. I mean, but his concern is to make sure it's safe, i.e. the kids aren't going to get, if something happened to them. But given it's crossing the road into school property, that's fine. He said it's perfectly safe. So there you go, folks. That's where we are.
I apologize. I'm going to have to hop off.
Yes. Well, we're all going to pop off then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Christine, you pop off. Thank you for your time tonight. We still have a quorum. There really is no nothing new at the moment, everyone. That's not that you don't already know. So, and we've done the unleashed dogs. Okay. And we've done programs, etc. Okay, and we've done the date of the we could just adjourn about that. So the date of the next meeting is July 9th. Okay, I will now, with your blessing, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we
Motion
adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, well, whoever did it, Christine seconded it.
Alan with Christina second. That's my call as
Okay.
umpire here, right?
Well, I think it was Dean and Alan vying for the motion to adjourn, right?
It was an amazing tie.
It was an amazing time. Okay, flip a coin. Who got? Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. All right. Who wants it? Alan, do you want it? Okay, and the time is, everyone, 7:34. Oh, Alan first and Christine second. I know. Okay, lot of stuff. Thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, hop off. I'm going
Thank
to,
you.
Well,
I'm
just,
I will,
just with
what?
with an eye on the weather, we'll send a message around for next week for a potential planting day.
Right. I'm just going to stop the recording first here. Okay. Because we can do that. We don't need the, okay. Oh, come on, where are you? There it is. Pause. Sorry.